Alright, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to the yugioh. I am the host for this evening, and I'm going to do something a little fun today, and go on the Master Duel Steam forums and look at the different posts and pages people have complained or talked about Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and some of those can actually apply to the UTG as well, since it is still Yu-Gi-Oh! At the end of the day. And I'm not looking to make fun of any posts, I will have a little fun, but you know, kind of really discuss and talk about some of these people's quarrels, and, you know, how can I kind of amend some of these factors and fix the game to try to make the game a little more enjoyable for as many people as possible. Now, I know you can't please everybody, and that is feasibly impossible. No matter what you do, people are going to complain, but I think they could definitely do more in the game to please more people, both competitive and casual alike. So, let's go ahead and get started. And I think about, what, 6 or 7 things open right now. And some of them are kind of lengthy, some of them are kind of short and to the point, but, you know, that's all fun of it. And I also kind of want to do a little video on the Steam reviews of Master Duel, because I always love Steam reviews, and I think it'd be kind of funny to poke some fun at that, to be honest, and just enjoy people either having some serious quarrels about the game, as well as people just having their silly, usual Steam reviews that people always have. That is always hilarious. Get rid of structure decks! Best part of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is making a deck from a random packs and getting good with skill and strategy, but people can just buy an OP deck and watch a how-to and just win without skill. Bro, your English is very bad. I can't say anything because I can't speak English and I'm from America. Anyway, so let's pick this apart real quick. It is really not that long. This guy doesn't want structure decks around because he thinks they're overpowered. Structure decks are a great thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it allows you to pretty much get into a deck you want. For example, I recently built Blue Eyes on my Master Duel account because of the fact that, you know, I do enjoy Blue Eyes. It wrecks like Mac Crazy a lot of times, but it is a fun deck to play. And I personally never built it before because it was just so expensive for a mediocre deck. But for the structure deck, you know, I was able to build it. And the same thing with Dark Magician. I enjoyed Dark Magician, but it was way too expensive for, again, a very mid-range mediocre deck. But last year, when they released the Dark Destruction deck, I personally was able to pick it up and enjoyed playing the Dark Magician. Now, I personally think these decks are really OP because of the fact that they're really not that strong by themselves. You have to really utilize and combine different aspects of different cards in order to really make the decks worthwhile. A good example is Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes on its own is really bad. Just terrible. No hate towards Blue Eyes players, or Blue Eyes in general, but if you want to really make the deck effective, you have to use cards outside of what comes in the structure deck, or outside of the Blue Eyes archetype. Combining with things like the Bishop is actually really nice. You also add things like Assault Synchron to be able to go to level 10 synchros like Bishop's Patter or Baron de Fleur. You can also use cards such as, you know, outside the archetype, like Karibo, you use with your Western Ancients to be able to get the Blue Eyes and have pattern protection. There's all kinds of different things you have to add into these decks. Not even gonna talk about hand traps like Maxi, Ash Blossom, Emperor, and things like that, but just monsters you can actually use to make the deck better and improve upon it. Like, sure, you can get some wins by using the play structure deck. I'm not saying it's impossible because people have done it. I've seen somebody, I think, reach, I think before Master came out, I think Diamond 1 or something like that, or Plat or something like that, with the basic bare bone starter deck you get at the beginning of the game. So it is possible, but none of these structures are OP, and we need more structure decks because it allows people to actually play more into the game. Now, the only complaint I could probably see to OP would be the Source Soul structure deck, because Source Souls is a kind of ridiculous structure deck, I'm not gonna lie, but it's super easy to get with campaign codes. So yeah, I can kind of see that one, but the ones you buy in the shop, they're not really overpowered, they're pretty mid-range, not that good. By themselves, you have to combine different cards. But yeah, structure decks need to stay. Is the game worth coming back to? Haven't played for a year. No, it's not. It's terrible. Don't play this game. Save yourself from the masochism that is this game. It is terrible, hot as garbage. But all jokes aside, besides it being a masochist game, It's a really hard question. It's a really hard question to really answer, to the fact that, like, first off, it's like, why did, say, OP leave? Which he didn't really. This is a fairly new one. He hasn't really posted that yet on why he left. But it really depends on why he left. If you left because of crazy combos, multiple boards, all that random BS, then no, it's not worth coming back to. But if you left because you kind of got a little, you got a little stale, you played a little too much, need a break, because we all know Yu-Gi-Oh players never quit the game. You always take a break. We're like freaking Rachel and Ross and friends. We were on a break. We never broke up. We were on a break. I just dated myself there, age-wise. But it really depends on reason why you left. I personally think the game is always great to come back to, and it really depends on what you want to use and how you want to play. If you definitely want to go back for the competitive side, it's still a good way. It's still good to come back to competitively, because yeah, Snake Eyes is running around and Lab is now officially tier 1. Oh boy, it's not fun. But it is still fun to come back to, because even if you don't go on the competitive side, you can find plenty of people who just want to play casually in rogue decks, or just not even rogue decks, just play random whatever insert dot deck you want to play. There are plenty of people who will be willing to play against alternative formats, like, y'all play in a 2004 format. Yeah, you'll have to craft cards like Pot of Greed and stuff, but you can play cards from 2004, like we had in that little Dual thing. You can actually technically still play things like Ether format to an extent. You can play, like, some of the older events, like the level 1 regulation, where everything was at 1. Every card in the game that was not banned was at 1. My opinion, really fun format. Konami, bring that back, please. But yes, to answer the question, it depends when you left, but I would have to say it's worth coming back to. My personal opinion, at least to dabble and have some fun, get your Yu-Gi-Oh fix, and then maybe if you want to stay, you can stay, leave. But it's always fun to get your Yu-Gi-Oh fix in. To be honest, this is a lengthy one, so strap in your seats here, and actually, I'm going to comment on this hilarious enough. Nominees to purge their game. I'm talking about purge as in the movie The Purge, because I don't think that can legally do that. They'll never do it, and end people affected with crime, but the power creep is out of control, and it's Konami's fault. I get affected by this too. Basically, every top deck in the game, even from the past formats, needs to be neutered. Afterwards, a drastic change in card design needs to happen. Philosophy to throw out the constraint negate centered in card design and one-card combos. Basically, anything to foster actual interactivity between players, which I know is hard but can be done. I could be wrong about this, but the current trajectory of the game is going to be straight towards the collapse of Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh no. It may take years, but if Konami doesn't change something, the game is going to die and be hyper niche. The second is too horrible of a player experience at this point to retain and draw in new players. And the complexity of the game, while being what we love, making it even harder for new players to sink their teeth into the game as time goes on. Right now, Yu-Gi-Oh seems fine, while in a very rough patch, and I hope I'm wrong, but in the future, it looks a little grim, in my opinion. Something needs to be done about the new player experience, so we can keep the complexity we love while being inviting to players. The reason I'm saying top decks need to be nerfed so hard is so a new design philosophy actually has a space to exist competitively and an environment not dominated by tons of negate boards, over generic cards, overtuned archetypes, and floodgates. If they don't want to do this, the only other band-aid I can think of at the moment is a new Master Duel. Master Duel 6, guys. Making life points 10,000 or more. There's a certain card we need to ban if that happens. More card draws for going seconds. And we'll talk about that in a bit. Why that's a bad idea. Currently, it's too easy to OTK, as it's really simple to attack with over 8k, while also, at most boards, having destruction to remove monsters. OTKs will still probably exist, but if the game has been power skilled this far, it's time for an update to account for the massive increase in attack power. Second, most decks that aren't the over 2 meta decks of every format basically just don't have the means to play through any kind of solid to semi-solid end board, especially negate heavy end boards. If Konami doesn't want to purge top decks and generic monsters like Barone, players need the card advantage going second to at least stand a chance to be able to actually play the game. These ideas aren't perfect, and hell, maybe my thoughts on the state of Yu-Gi-Oh! Are even flawed. But for the former, I really don't think so, and it's a serious problem that needs to be addressed. If the game becomes less fun, people will stop playing it, and I see too many people huffing copium that Yu-Gi-Oh! Would last forever somehow, even with everything happening currently. Let's see, TLDR, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going in a scary direction. Going second is horrible, and the game is becoming a worse new player experience. So Konami either needs to bite the bullets and revamp the entire competitive scene of the game to facilitate a future change in card design philosophy, and or introduce a new Master Duel to possibly alleviate some problems temporarily. Oh boy, he was a mouthful. So let's dissect this layer by layer. Let's go on paragraph to paragraph and let's kind of see what he is coming from and whether he's sort of on the right track or not, or what Konami can do to potentially fix his woes and the woes of many other people. Because like I said, the game is not perfect. It's far from it. It has a lot of issues that need to be fixed. And one of them is the new player experience. So let's go on the first paragraph here. That they need to purge their game. I don't really think they need to purge their game, because purging it, I think, will be bad. And I don't really understand what you mean by purge the game. I don't think it really states that in the comments and below his response and replies. But he says every top deck in the game, even past formers, needs to be neutered. Now, there's the problem with neutering of pretty much every single past meta deck and future meta deck, is the fact that there always will be a meta. You can't just constantly neuter everything, because eventually setting Mystical Elf will become the new meta, and that's the thing. And a meta, you need a meta in a type of game. Any type of game, a TCG, FPS, any type of multiplayer game, you need some form of meta, because that's the standard for what you need to compete with. As well as, if you don't want to use said meta, that's what you need to try to contend with in order to beat. Perfect example is Snake Eyes being tier 1 in Master Duel and basically tier 0 in a TCG/OCG. And OCG is questionable now, I don't know, because they're using the limit regulation list that they recently dropped. But as of right now, there's tier 0 in these two formats in tier 1 in Master Duel. That's the deck to beat. So if you don't use Snake Eyes, you have to figure out ways to get around the Snake Eye mirror match. Or not mirror match, the Snake Eye matchup by throwing in things like hand traps such as Ash Box, Veiler, Ghost Spell, things to basically counter the Snake Eye matchup for your deck to allow you to go on top. One-card combos, in my personal opinion, are not too bad because it allows decks to actually play. Now, are they getting a little out of hand? Potentially yes, but maybe no. It really depends on the future of the game. So, as I can be wrong about this, the current trajectory of the game is going to lean straight towards the class of Yugioh. Yeah. The class of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is inevitable at some point in time. Nothing can last forever. Everything must come to an end at some point in time. Now, would I want Yu-Gi-Oh! To end? No. I enjoy the game as much as I get annoyed with its mechanics and stuff. I do enjoy the game a lot. Like I said, it is a masochist game. That's what I call it. Personally, it is definitely a masochist game because we all love the game, but we love to bitch about it and its broken mechanics. But I do feel at some point the game will collapse on itself because that's just how life is. Something else will eventually come up to take its place. It hasn't really happened yet, because it's still part of the big three, being alongside Pokemon and Magic. But I feel that day will definitely come, and it will eventually become hyper niche, or just a niche game that people finally enjoy playing, whether it's through nostalgia or because they still do enjoy playing the game. Going second is, yeah, can be quite horrible, especially on Master Duel, because of the fact that you can't have a side deck. You have to pretty much put border breakers and negate all this stuff into your deck, so it can kind of break consistency a little bit. And yeah, I can definitely understand going second. It's especially if in a meta like now where it's Snake Eyes, as well as also Labyrinth being now Tier 1 in Master Duel, it's very annoying to really go seconds. Is it possible to win going second? Yes, 100% definitely. You can still win going second, but it's just annoying to deal with a lot of this stuff. And it also talks about the new player experience, which that is a big issue, is that we have a new player experience that is very, very bad for players. We have a lot of people who jump into the game and then they see the crazy amount of stuff and then leave. Perfect example is, if anybody remembers, the Ron stuff that happened last year when he attempted to play 10 hours of Yu-Gi-Oh! And he just didn't have a good time because some that he was versing in the lower ranks was freaking full-powered Sun Avalon Rika and all that stuff. It was like, Jesus Christ, this is, stuff that you expect to see at least in gold, maybe, but not like rookie or bronze. It was nuts. And when a new player sees that, they're like, I don't want to deal with this. I just want to go have some fun and I'll go someplace else, go play Pokemon or Magic or something like that, or Vanguard or the One Piece TCG, which is actually pretty fun. I like the One Piece TCG, it's actually a lot of fun. Or the new Lorcana game, which I haven't tried out yet. Looks pretty interesting. But the new player experience is really not that good. And it also stands to the TCG no TCG IRL when people start playing Master Duel. Because the formats are so vastly different between IRL play and Master Duel, you kind of have like a culture shock on it, which is really nuts. The reason I say top decks need to be nerfed so hard is the way new design philosophy actually has space to this competitively environment, not dominated by tons of negative boards. Over 200 cards, over 2 archetypes, and floodgates. Now, I will agree that we have a lot of just generically good extra monsters. I'm mainly talking extra monsters because of the fact that things like Barone, which is the free Omnigate, Savage Dragon is an Omnigate, and those just require a tuner with warmer, not tuner monsters. It's just crazy. Bunch of board breakers like Evenly Match or more, which I find those fair because of the fact that you evenly have to use your battle phase in order to use it. Darker the more, no damage is dealt to the opposing player. But there's a lot of generic, and also floodgates just completely ruin the fun of the game. Now, I'm for one having a combo player. I do use the multi-negate cards such as Barone and Savage, and I know they're BS, and before anybody says, well, you can't play about floodgate if you play these multi-negate boards like Savage Dragon or Barone the Floor. Both are bullshit, both don't really need to happen. I'm more of a fan of just interruptions, such as like the Vanquish Souls. Vanquish Souls is a fun deck to play, and because it just has interruptions, it doesn't have any negates outside of the hand traps like Ash Blossom, Imperm, Valor, things like that. But its core monsters don't negate. Like, they just destroy, they interrupt, they set your cards face down. That to me is a good deck for the game. Now, Snake Eyes is a bad deck for the game because not only can it set up those negates like Barone and Savage, but can also set up interruptions with the Fire Princess and the Whale. IP going into like Appaloosa, like there's a bunch of things that the deck does that should not be healthy for the game. It's only gonna get worse when we release a Bonfire later on the line. So, well, let's really talk about his Master Duel 6, making life points 10,000 or more. Let's not do this because of the fact that we'll have to ban a lot of cards to make that even viable. Mainly one card, I think it's Ancient Leaf, I believe what it's called, which if your life points are 9,000 or more, you can pay like 2,000 life points to draw 2 cards. Yeah, it could be Ash and you're paying life points, but it's like, I'm still not losing. I'm losing 1 card in my hand versus some of the all-draw power cards like the Dire, Extra, Rarity, things like that. Then more card draws for going second. Now the problem is like, how many cards are we talking about going second? Because already going second, you get a benefit from 1 second by drawing 1 extra card. It's not like back in the day where going second really didn't matter because, turn player who maybe went first got to draw a 6th card in their hand. Which Konami got rid of that was that way kind of going second seems a little more of an advantage to a lot of players. And I think that's perfectly fine. Just getting that 1 extra card is already enough. You can potentially draw into a board breaker like Evenly Matched. just to name one card is specific, or with Reboot if, you know, you're playing that deck counter the Labyrinth deck. If you allow the second player, the turn 2 player to actually draw more cards by going second, I think that would be really ridiculous. Personally, it would be pretty ridiculous. And it says, currently it's too easy just to OTK as it's really simple to attack for AK while also most boards have instruction to remove monsters. Yes and no to this. There are some decks that can easily OTK, but other decks can't. I'm gonna throw Sword Soul under the bus here. I'm a huge fan of Sword Soul. I love the deck. I've played the deck online on Master Duel since it came out, and I've also played the deck on sites like EdoPro and stuff like that back when it first dropped in OCG. One of my favorite decks to play. Can it OTK? Yes. And in certain circumstances, it can. But not all the time. The way he's talking about is that every deck can OTK at a consistent pace, which is not true, because there's so many ways to actually counter those OTKs, and it's just not 100% true, but it is true at the same time. It's almost like a paradox, to be honest. As if you're going second, most decks that aren't the overtuned meta decks of the format basically just don't have the means to play through any kind of solid import, especially negate heavy import. Which he does sort of have a point there, but let's kind of break that down. Rogue decks do have the ability to counter these heavy negate boards and the meta decks. You just have to draw the out, bro. But we're not going to say that in a serious manner. You have to really prep your decks for going first and second, especially in the instance of Master Duel. You have to prep your deck to be able to go first and second. If you don't do that, then you're most likely going to lose a lot going second. This is not like the TCG and OCG where you can side deck your outs for certain decks. Now this is why I personally would love to have a best of 3 format in Master Duel, which will allow a 15-card side deck, because this will make, in my opinion, make competitive a lot more better and enjoyable for a lot of people, personally. But I understand, why they have just a best of 1 form, because they're fast, quick games that you can just move on to the next one. You don't like the matchup, quit the matchup, go to another duel, stuff like that. Government doesn't win the first game generic monster like Barone. Players need card advantage going second to at least stand a chance to be able. Now, this guy apparently is not like generic extra monster like Barone before a Savage Dragon. And I understand where he's coming from, because those can get really oppressive, especially in the hands of a really, really good player who knows how to really utilize his card resources and their negates, knowing when to hit those clutch points in terms of the deck in terms of the deck they're reversing. But the problem is, if we only had archetypal cards, let's say if Barone, or let's say Savage Dragon was locked behind rockets, like the Boral cards, like Savage Dragon, Boral Sword Dragon, Boral Low Dragon, Boral In Dragon. Boral In Dragon is sort of locked for rockets only because of the negation effect. So we're not going to include him in this mix, as his effect requires a rocket monster and the graveyard and stuff. Let's say Boral's Savage Dragon is locked from rocket monster, part of like a tuner monster plus one more non-tuner monster, something like that. You're really going to be playing in the rocket deck. And that deck will have a Omni League. And no other deck can have it, unless they want to play rocket monsters in their main deck, which would not make sense at all. So I personally feel like we do need to have some generic cards like Savage Dragon and Barone that every deck can actually play, because that would allow more decks to actually be able to set up boards that can stop your opponent from potentially playing the game, or as well as maybe cracking a board if need be. And I like the fact that he says that these aren't perfect, and maybe it's also stated you are even flawed. I don't really think they're flawed, I just think that they're in a state of you're tired of a lot of stuff that happens, and this is to be expected in the games such as Yu-Gi-Oh! There's a lot of crazy stuff that happens. So I don't really think they're flawed, I just think you're just tired, and just like beaten. You're tired of everything. And understandable. And he also talks about somewhere, I can't remember, yeah, here it is, they talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Will last forever, let people cope him, and there's nobody's really thinking the game will last forever. If you do, you are sipping on some nice good copium there, but no one's here saying the game will last forever. We will all want to enjoy the game while it's still around, and while it's still as big as it is, because we know at some point something will eventually take over the game, and will eventually, steal the player base from Yu-Gi-Oh! And move on to something else, or Konami's gonna do some random bullshit that will piss people off to the point where they're not gonna want to play the game no more. So yeah, we know that game's not gonna last forever, but we just want to enjoy the game for how it's worth. But I feel like your thoughts and your feels on the game are valid, personally. But I think your new Master Duel definitely needs fine tuning for it to be actually decently good. But yeah, that's all for that. Why do people complain about Max Z instead of Ash Blossom? Oh, Ash Blossom is basically a spoiler. While Max Z makes the game more interactive, this card just blocks the progress of the game. Unlike Mega Failure or Infinite Permanence, it can stop almost everything, while every few cards can counter the negation. Most importantly, Ash isn't stopping the crazy Solitaire summoning. In many cases, more like it's protecting Solitaire players from Max Z. This card should be bad. Ash Blossom is perfectly fine, and it's a card. Does it get annoying? Yes. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of these cards that is... I love it, but I hate it at the same time. I love it when I use it, but it's used against me, I'm just like... hate you. I hate you so much. But... there's why people complain about Max Z more than Ash Blossom, because Max Z is not an interactive card. I hate that when people talk about Max Z being interactive. You have an illusion of interaction. It's a false narrative, basically. You are not really interacting with each other, you're just basically having the quote-unquote choice of playing into the Max Z and just praying that they do not open up any draw into board breakers or things like Nibiru or something like that. Or you just don't play into Max Z, just maybe set one pass and then just pray to God that your opponent does not have the nuts and OTK you and win the game. Ash Blossom is not the problem. Max Z is the problem in the game. Max Z should be banned, Ash Blossom is fine at 3. That is my soapbox. Is no fun the norm in this game? As you can see, I got around 30 by now, and I played a Black Meat deck on anime basis since I started, plus some cards my friends told me to add as well, like Ash Blossom. Curious, my man, they are a thing. Or commas, however you want to do it. But I found to actually have fun with this game when I play online. I love the Yu-Gi-Oh! Concept, and thought I could get some backyards and anime action while playing the game, like how Yu-Gi-Oh! Will play out. That was your first mistake, expecting fun in Yu-Gi-Oh! Unfortunately, I always see the same decks, or a slight variation of those in every mode. Namely, Snake Eyes, Blue Eyes, Soul, Kashtiro. They just don't want fun to play. They just don't want fun to play against and never change up to how they are played, making them extremely boring on top of when you duel those people. I'd like to ask if there is a special version of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where I can still get anime-style games against other people. And to those that play those types of decks or other kinds of decks that take like 3 minutes for one phase, do you even have fun, or do you just play that way to say your rank is higher in a game that was originally supposed to be fun? Alright, so this person's very tired of the same method against Snake Eyes, Blue Eyes, Sorcerer, and Kashtiro. Yeah. So, like I said, your first error in this game is wanting to actually have fun in Yu-Gi-Oh! But I think it can actually be generally very fun. Once you really once you sink your teeth into like the to the actual game itself, it can be really fun. Trying to crack boards and just make your boards. It's a lot of fucking fun. It's a lot of fun. Genuinely speaking. Besides all the BS that we claim, it generally can be pretty fun. And if you're wanting more anime-style duels, just find like he's doing like there's really nice there's really nice special version of Yu-Gi-Oh! For anime duels. You just have to find like-minded people who want to play in that style. And I think the best way to do it is maybe find some discords of doing that and using games such as Book or yugioh in order to play those anime-style duels that you so wish to. Those nice back and forth where you're not constantly versing Snake Eyes and Sorcel and Blue Eyes. I don't really see Blue Eyes being an unfun deck to verse because it's generally not that bad of a matchup. But I guess you're just playing anime-style rules, then yeah, it can be kind of unfun. But that'd be your best option, is find people who want to play the game in the same way you want to play, and then y'all just have fun doing that. Y'all can 100% do that, and that's fine. And for the final thing, do you have fun playing these decks? And as a person who has played Snake Eyes, I do have Snake Eyes deck on Master Duel, and I do play Sorcels because it's a very fun deck. I personally enjoy playing those decks because they're a lot of fun. And not everybody is just like, oh my god, I just gotta play a rank, because rank in the say doesn't really matter too much, because if you literally, because I always use the metaphor of like if you constantly throw a tennis ball in the same spot or a brick wall over and over and over again for a certain amount of time, that brick wall will eventually give and break to the throwing the tennis ball to that same spot. So if you keep at it with a deck you enjoy, you will eventually hit a high rank. And to that dedication, I will respect 100%. But there are people who definitely flunk their ranking and think they're the best shit in the world, and they basically just used meta deck number 1 or 2 or 3. And again, no hate towards meta decks, I do have meta decks, I do play meta, but it is what it is. Duelist Cup is a disastrous event and should stop being hosted. It's not even a fun experience for just 3,000 gems and a special title that nobody even looks at, not even bother at all. To be honest though, I am glad, even though the Duelist Cup can be torturous at some times, it is a competitive event, and I really think that we need at least one competitive event out of all the, I guess, the casual events that we have. Because, you know, having that one to grind up to a max level is something that's really nice, trying to get to day 2, and now, the biggest fault of my opinion with the Duelist Cup is day 2. Day 2 is shit, day 2 is horrible, it's the worst experience you can ever possibly have. Fucking top level players or streamers staying up like 24, 48 hours at a time just to get to the top rank and try to stay at the top rank. That needs to be reworked. That's a horrible experience, and I never want a part of that. I just go for my gym, that's all I really care about. I don't care about day 2, personally. But, I wouldn't say it's disastrous in terms of the day 1, or the stage 1 portion of it. It's fine, you're going up to the duel level max, get some gems, get some free shitty cards, or you're never going to play any deck unless you just really want to punish yourself or you lose bets. But it's fine. Advice for a newbie. I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh before and now am now suffering with the starting deck. What deck from the store can you recommend, and where can I read how to master and improve this deck? Now, somebody already have posted a good answer for this, which is the Sorcel deck. Which I recommend to any beginning player is, Sorcel, especially Master Duel, Sorcel deck is a great way to get your feet wet into modern Yu-Gi-Oh. Easy to learn, easy to learn, the combos are pretty fluent, and it's not really hard to really master the deck. But let's step outside of the realm of Master Duel in terms of advice for a newbie. How can a new player get into Yu-Gi-Oh in general? And for that, I would definitely say research. If you want to start playing Yu-Gi-Oh, I recommend going to YouTube, looking at duels, looking at deck profiles, looking at see what kind of playstyle fits you most. Are you a control player? Are you more aggressive? Like mid-range deck? What is your playstyle in terms of Yu-Gi-Oh? And then I would, pick a deck, and I would start out cheap. I would start out with a cheap budget deck before investing any money into the game. I would say, perfect example again is Sorcel, great budget deck. Things like Forensics, good budget deck. Stuff that's not going to run you too much money, and to be able to play the game after kind of like learning about it and see if you enjoy it. Because that way, if you don't enjoy it, you didn't lose a lot of money. You didn't spend like $1,500 on Snake Eyes and like, oh, I don't like this game. I'll just burn $1,500. Shit. But yeah, that's what I recommend. And yeah, for the newbie, definitely Sorcerer deck. Another good structure deck I would actually recommend is the Dark Condition. It's a good mid-range deck. Everything you need for it, you just need to put in some generic hand traps, and your probably should be good. Good learning point for Yu-Gi-Oh! It's Dark Condition. But if you want to go for more modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Definitely Sorcerer is the way to go. Oh my god, enough of Snake Eyes! Rant! This game is so annoying. 30-man duels doing the same 4 goddamn cards over and over and over. After playing on seeing is this BS of a deck. This is so easy to play. Well played. You did a great job. Always Snake Eyes. Always. There's only one deck in this game. It's already impossible to farm gems, and we have to face this broken deck without a single ban. This deck is legit unfair. When your cards are moved to a spell trap zone, you are put in a position you can't really recover from. That's BS. They can bounce back from 95% of off-board breaks, session gains, and 1-card starters. There's nothing I can do about it. There's 1,000 counters to my spell cards and monster effects. They can summon more cards than I do in 5 duels. I'm not even joking. PS skill issue. Yeah. It's... I understand, yeah, Snake Eyes, very annoying, and I really think, this guy is trolling the fuck out of it. I'm just saying. But, yeah. Snake Eyes is never a problem. It's definitely bad deck for the game in its current state. My personal opinion is going to get even worse when it's get things like Bonfire, and that'll elevate the deck to even more heights to where even if you negate, say, like, Snake Eye Axe, because Bonfire the popular and continue to play like no tomorrow. So, yeah, enjoy Snake Eyes. It's here to stay, and it's going to get even more powerful. And then you can see even more lucky combinations with things as combined with the Fire Kings when those cards drop in. Oh boy! Hope you're ready for the real fun then. But anyway, that's going to be it for this little iteration of the Master Duel forums. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and hope you guys got a kick out of some of the stuff that people talk about and sort of complain about in terms of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. Like I said, a lot of the complaints, my personal opinion, are pretty valid. But, you know, and there are definitely ways Konami can actually use to fix it. I kind of hope I kind of talk about those things a little bit more in this video in terms of what Konami can do to recommend these things to make it more fun for everybody. There's definitely a lot of things Konami to fix, and people are a lot tired. Some people complain because they care about the game, and other people do complain just to complain. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely do more of these in the future. You know, it's not gonna be a regular thing just because of the fact that I kind of have to wait for some, you know, nice good ones pop on the Master Duel forums. And nothing I still want in the future is do a Master Duel Steam review video. I think that'd be really fun to actually do since the game is now 2 years old. And I think that'd be kind of a cool thing to do, like about once a year, do some reviews, or once every once every half year or something like that. It'd be kind of fun to do. So yeah, if you see more things like this, feel free to say something in the comments section below, because this is really enjoyable to do, and I had a lot of fun with it. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.